I wonder where Ohio State's headed the next 5 years. And to me, I don't really wonder. I think I know. But I said something the other day, and it turned into this heated debate on Twitter and Instagram. So I wanted to bring it on the show because I talked about it on the Extra podcast, but I wanted to bring it on the show as promised. Here's what I said. If Pate State had an opening at head coach, and of course we can get whoever we want to because we just roll like that, and I was making a hire for the next 5 years, notice next 5 years, there are only two guys I'd have on the list. One is Nick Saban, and then the next one is Ryan Day. And then I just cut off the list. And my real point was to emphasize Ryan Day would be next up right now, behind Nick Saban for me. Obviously, I got a lot of pushback on that. Half of it was from people who didn't understand what I was saying. They just thought I was power rating head coaches. And obviously, if I were doing that, I wouldn't be listing Ryan Day number 2 based on achievement. But we're not running an awards banquet here. It's not a lifetime achievement award. It's not a celebration of a career. If it was, then Dabo Swinney would rightfully be parked in that number 2 spot behind only Nick Saban. That's not what we were doing. I'm projecting forward here. So I'm going to ask you to do the same. Just play along with me here. Project forward next 5 years. It's not like I'm disparaging one to prop up the other. Dabo Swinney's a very competitive number 3 on this list for me, just for the record. But I'd have Ryan Day above all of them, other than Nick Saban. The next 5 years is what I'm focused on. I don't know how you don't buy into Ryan Day's next 5 years. What does he not have? Because everything to me, he's a B+ or better in when it comes to the elements it takes, characteristics it takes to succeed at the highest level. An assassin as a recruiter, got a whole staff of assassins as recruiters. Phenomenal development at Ohio State, the ability to evolve, the ability to adapt. He understands the formula for success, and I'll tell you what else he understands, the formula for long-term sustainable motivation. It doesn't come out of preaching disrespect and using bulletin board material. Case in point, last year going into that semifinal game, when they played Clemson, and there was some of that yapping coming from down near Clemson, Ohio State, not only did they steamroll them, they had every reason after that to find the nearest live microphone on that field and say, everything they talked about all week and all month and whatnot, that's what fueled us. They never even mentioned them. They just talked about worrying about ourselves. We focus on a process. It's all about internal, intrinsic, this and that. Man, that's not coach speak. That's a philosophy. That's sustainable too. When you don't rely on anything else and you know the fuel source is inside your own program and inside your players and you can get them to believe that, that's elite leadership. It's hard to do that. That's why so many people don't achieve it. Ryan Day commands authority, never had a track record as a head coach, and yet immediately, day one, the moment he's announced, he's got everyone's attention. I'll circle back to that in a second because that in and of itself is big. He's just elite. In every aspect of leadership, Ryan Day is elite. So I keep asking people who I get pushback on this particular topic, especially on, I just ask, what is it he lacks? And you can point to the trophy case. I'm not a believer that you always have to see it achieved before you believe it's possible. I go back to the old Roger Bannister 4-minute mile thing. Roger Bannister, first guy to run a sub 4-minute mile. Was he incapable of it till the moment that his chest broke the tape at the finish line, or was he capable of it before and then the result happened? I believe Ryan Day, and Ohio State under Ryan Day, is capable of winning multiple championships. I believe they're capable of being parked right at the top of the sport for a prolonged period of time. I think they're capable of it now. I think he's at that level now, and it will come to fruition in the future. If we're just doing that thing where we wait until it's accomplished to believe that someone's capable of it, then what are we doing? A blind monkey could operate this thing at this point. I saw, Colin and I were talking about this. I will not mention the outlet, but I saw someone put out a list the other day. Top 20 head coaches in college football, and this dude not on them. I counted 4 or 5 Big Ten head coaches listed above Ryan Day. I'm telling you right now, I didn't even waste time reading what the criteria was, so forgive me if I'm misunderstanding it. Any of you who want to endorse that ideology, decide how much money it's going to take to make you uncomfortable, and then we'll bet on it. You want to take Fleck over Ryan Day? You want to take, all due respect, James Franklin's next 5 years over Ryan Day? Pick any of them in the Big Ten. You want to take their next 5 years over Ryan Day? Any amount that it takes to make you uncomfortable. And if you can outbid me, I'll go find investors. Because this is one of the smartest bets and one of the safest investments that anyone out there could make. This dude is lapping the Big Ten. I don't understand how anyone sees it any other way, but again, that's between you and your diary. But consider how amazing this process was. I think history will accurately judge it, but since we're still in the present, I don't think people properly understand and appreciate what just happened there over the last couple of years. You've got one of the all-time greats in Urban Meyer, who is currently coaching an NFL team. You got one of the all-time greats there in Urban Meyer. And then he steps down, and they don't conduct what you expect them to do, which is a national head coaching search. They promote from within. Ryan Day, hardcore college football fans knew who he was. If you're just a casual fan who lives in Boulder, Colorado, you said, who? Ohio State. Announced who? As a head coach? Ryan Day. And not only did that happen, they didn't hesitate. That should be signal number one, that guy's different. But if that didn't convince you, then consider this. You know how good that coaching staff is? Brian Hartline, you know how good he is? You know how good Larry Johnson is? You know how loaded that roster is? Do you know how good their player personnel and development department is? Mickey Mariotti, guys like that. All of these guys could have their choice of about 99% of equivalent jobs in America, and none of them left. They looked universally inside that program, looked at a guy who had never been a head coach a day in his life, and collectively said, yeah, we got no problem following this guy. We got no problem blindly casting our lot with him. The secret is it wasn't blind at all. If you've ever been around greatness, you don't have to guess. If you've ever been around it, it stands out. It stands out like a pumpkin in a cherry orchard. You don't have to wonder, I wonder if that guy's great. It emanates. You understand it immediately. You can't believe it. If you spend a day with it, you go home and you tell your friends about it, you will never guess who I hung out with today. You will never guess what this guy or this girl is like. That's the way it is. There aren't many of them out there. That's why they stand out like that. Ryan Day's generational. He's just next level. I'm not telling you he's overtaking Nick Saban tomorrow. I'm telling you outside of Nick Saban, there is not a head coach that I believe in more over the next 5 years than Ryan Day. People with options, when you're still unproven in terms of result and a bunch of people with options to go elsewhere don't think a second about going elsewhere, that should tell you all you need to know about what you have as the head coach at Ohio State. They're set at quarterback for the next several years. They are a destination for everyone, both players and coaches. NIL is going to be a gold mine for them. How anyone looks at Ohio State and thinks anything other than they're going to be right there every year, and Ryan Day is going to be right at the front, as they are right there every year, I don't get it. I've asked people to explain it to me multiple times. I don't get that. I don't need a feeling out process. In other words, I don't need to see the trophy case fill up before I know what he's capable of. So I will gladly buy all the stock you want to sell me if you got some in Ryan Day.